The delegates who are outside. I hope my voice is going over there, and if it's reaching them, I'll request you please come in, be seated. It's the time to start with our special plenary 2, and this is going to be a really fruitful session. A good brainstorming is going to be there. So I request the delegates who are still outside, please come in and be seated. In a few minutes now, we are starting this special plenary 2. Thank you. Had a good time at lunch? Yes? So show me some energy, guys. Okay, so once again, a very good afternoon to everyone. And as I already told you that we are here for the special plenary 2. So it is about mobilizing green chemistry to beat plastic pollution. So in this session, firstly, we are going to address the issue because as far as when we know the issue, then we can work on the solution as well. So firstly, we are going to address the issue and the role that UNESCO coastal biosphere reserves can play, and later we shall talk about the solutions. So let's start. First thing first, let me invite the eminent panelists over here on the stage. With your round of applause, firstly, I would like to invite the Chief of Natural Sciences Unit, UNESCO New Delhi, Dr. Benno Boyd. Please put your hands together for him. I request Professor Thamarat Kotatepe, Asian Institute of Technology, Bangkok, Thailand, to please join us on the dais. I also request Mr. Christian Walter, Tuck Limited, Bangkok, Thailand, to please join us on the dais. Please welcome him with your round of claps. Also on the stage, I would request Dr. Lipika Sharma from Quest for Action, Switzerland and India to please join us. Please put your hands together for her welcome as well. And as we have the eminent panelists over here, we are starting up with this first thing, as in like addressing the issue, and then we'll be talking about the solutions. So in this session, Dr. Benu Boer is going to be the chair and the moderator of the session. But before I hand over it to him, I would like to give a brief introduction to all of you about his profile. So he is a professional project manager with 30 years of international experience in the global environmental sciences, with longer service periods in Europe, the Arab region, Africa, and Asia. He currently serves as UNESCO Natural Science Specialist in New Delhi, with a geographical focus on Bangladesh, Bhutan, India, Maldives, Nepal, and Sri Lanka, in addition to some regional and international projects as well. So he carried out numerous plastic waste management activities in different countries and regions. So he is the best appropriate person to chair and moderate this particular session. So over to you, Dr. Boy.
Thank you very much for the kind introduction. I hope you are energized, because I noticed that there was a lot of interest from the audience to also participate. So in this panel we will do that. We will cut short the questions as originally intended. We wanted to ask 2 questions to the panelists, which I will introduce very briefly in a minute. But then we really want you to have the time to interact with us, because I think it should be a discussion, if you agree with that. So the issue, very quickly, we are living in a time of a plastic paradox. We have cities, rural areas, forests, rivers, lakes, coastal areas, and the oceans heavily polluted with plastic. The good news is that we can see it. Unlike climate change, we can't see it. Biodiversity loss, we can't see it. But plastic pollution, we can very clearly see it. And that's why there is no plastic pollution deniers, like there is climate change deniers, for example. So the issue is we have too much plastic pollution in the world. And not only now, that's already going on since the 1960s. Plastic was invented roughly 1928. Initially, it was called Bakelite. Then it was patented in, I think, 1940. The Mediterranean Sea was already heavily polluted with plastic pollution in the mid-1960s, and now we have huge garbage dumps, mostly polluted with plastic, in the Pacific, in the Indian, in the Atlantic Ocean. So we have 4 garbage patches, plastic garbage patches in the ocean. I think that's enough for the issue. I think it's pretty obvious, the issue. We need to stop plastic pollution. If I may add, 90% of us have plastic, that is microplastic, in our digestive system. And also 90% of us have nanoplastic, that's even smaller than microplastic, in our bloodstream. So the issue is plastic pollution has reached a catastrophic level, and all of us, we need to do something about it. Let me very quickly introduce the panelists. We have next to me Dr. Lipika Sharma. She represents Quest for Action in India and in Switzerland. She is a lawyer with 24 years of experience in litigation, teaching, and training, with a PhD in climate change law. Wow, I didn't even know that that exists. She is a consultant with the UN Women, G100 India Chair, SDGs, Chief Legal Officer. She represents El Jojo NGO in Germany, and she is the CEO of Veet Aikyam Foundation in India. Next to her, we have Professor Tamrat Kutatep from AIT, the Asian Institute of Technology. He's a professor at the Department of Energy, Environment and Climate, School of Environment, Resources and Development, AIT. And then to the left, we have Mr. Christian Walter. He is also from Thailand. He represents the TACT Ltd in Bangkok. It's a plastic recycling company. He's a founding partner of SDGX Group, where he invests in technologies with significant societal and environmental impacts. He is currently working with TACT Co. Ltd, focusing on chemical recycling of plastic waste. Now, before I give the questions to the panelists, I just want to let you know that we really want to get practical, and it's difficult. We are a little bit helpless globally, us as humanity, in solving plastic pollution. So we have invited 3 people here from Thailand. We have invited 3 from India. So we kind of want to have a India-Thai first collaboration going on this year in India. We will follow up next year in Thailand. And the overall aim is to strengthen the existing UNESCO Biosphere Reserve in the Sundarbans in India, and perhaps encourage Thailand in the Trat province. That's where the islands of Koh Chang, Koh Mak, Koh Koot are situated, and the coastal areas of Trat province. We discussed that before, since several years actually now. So we would like to have a Thai and an Indian UNESCO Biosphere Reserve focused on plastic neutrality. I think those are places where we can test and apply best practices for plastic waste management. That's what we try to achieve. So it's not just talk, but your opinions count. So let me start perhaps with Tamrat. In addition to technical expertise, what are other skill sets that young professionals require for working in the chemical and plastic recycling industry? Tamrat, over to you. Please use approximately 3 to 4 minutes.
Okay, Dhanyawad. Boy, so thank you very much that inviting me to join this session. That very interesting. In particular, to that having this kind of the people from that sustainability educations working in this area. Definitely, plastic pollution is one of them. And technically, as scientists, as engineers, technical processes can manage them all. But what went wrong? Why went wrong? In our countries, particularly to India or Southeast Asia like Thailand, that we're still facing a huge problems. Benno also mentioning that it's happening in the past in Europe before, but now today they are getting much better than the past. But currently, it's happening in mostly in Asia. That 10 of the top countries plastic polluters is in Asia. So I think that the technical issues that we can solve very simply by using a certain techniques or technologies. But another skill set that I would like to call for, and I'm sure that our educational system here, we would like to train our young professionals, our young generation with that theory, with that fundamental of how we can solve the problems. Yes, we can do that, and then we can let them work with the company, big company, or whatever that we can help solving the problems. And also that the NGO play very much important roles in this kind of plastic waste management businesses. I'm sure that your country also having a lot informal collectors and informal recyclers. The other skill set that I think that it should be done is that about how that young professionals or young generation can develop their own business out of the plastic waste management or out of that plastic pollutions. Why not? If it is like that, if it is a profitable business, if they can learn from the science, from the technologies and make them into business, then it could be more sustained that we let them work only in the NGO or the governmental sectors that there's not that the big business yet. I'm sure that the experience from my colleagues here, Chris, can show you that if we can set the skill that apart from the technology, apart from the social science, with that business development, then I'm sure that our young generation can solve the better problems than us.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Tamrat, for the intervention. And yeah, just to explain the term plastic paradox that I used before, we are all consuming plastic. There is hardly any person in the world that does not consume plastic one way or the other. And we know that much of our plastic ends up from the cities, through the rivers, through the coastlines, into the oceans. It's a big problem. From there it goes into the zooplankton, from there it goes into the marine food web, from there it comes back into us. So what makes it even worse, we have heard that we have just stepped over the 8.1 billion people mark this month. When I was born, it was about 3.2, 3.4 billion people, not even half. And the predictions are that in 2100, we have 10.9 to 11.2 people in the world. And of course, they will all consume plastic. So that's the paradox. We know it's a problem, but we keep consuming it. It's the same like with climate change. We also have the energy paradox. We know that fossil fuels are harmful, but we still consume them. So anyway, that's the plastic paradox, and we need to find ways to mitigate that somehow. My second question goes to Christian Walter. Christian, what is the role industrial companies play in enabling chemical recycling?
That's a very good question. It's actually quite a complex industry, right? Because, as you said, everybody is basically using plastic, right? IKEA, the largest, by now largest manufacturer, I think, of furniture, is using plastic everywhere to wrap it. And you go into the supermarket, usually something is wrapped with plastic. So it doesn't really matter which industry, every industry is involved. And every industry uses different plastics, different kinds of plastic. And as we have heard, we can deal with all of that from a chemical perspective. It's not really a problem. But the combination of how it is used, for instance, is an issue, right? So there's a very, very little transparency from country to country. Actually, this differs as well, and regulatory-wise as well. What kind of plastic actually lands in a landfill or gets to our facility? And that means that we are there, we have this huge pile of plastic, and then we take it out, right, hand by hand most of the time, particularly in Southeast Asia or in developing countries, because labor cost is much cheaper than in Europe, where you would partially automate that. And then you have a plastic that looks like a simple film, right? So very, very think, okay, you can use that, but there's something attached to it. There's maybe silicon in there and so on. So it's so complex from a chemical perspective. And there's not really a clear distinction between the products. And that makes it particularly hard for companies like ours to actually get started. So we need transparency of what is actually used in the process in these various companies. And if we have that, it makes it much, much easier for us to recycle, right, and divert. Because you would also, for various reasons, not use every type of plastic to, for instance, what we do, make mostly fractions of oil out of that. And the oil then can be used again to create new plastics or to be used as fuel or whatnot. But some of the plastics, like PET bottles, you can reuse. You don't need to make oil out, right? You can reuse and reuse and reuse. But these kind of systems needs to be established, and partially companies have to be responsible for that. And then there's another part in this, actually two parts. One is particularly here in Southeast Asia or Asia Pacific, it's waste picking. So the waste pickers, they obviously take ideally the waste for them where they make most money with. What we can use for our processes is almost deteriorated plastic. It doesn't really matter to us. We don't get the same yield. But for the waste pickers, there's no money in that because they don't know or because there's no market for that. So there's another way to actually engage as a company and do something. And then there's the end of the line where the circularity begins. Because what we create is certain types of oil, right? So this oil is not refined, for instance, right? You can burn it, which you shouldn't ideally, but you can do something new out of it. Right, so you don't have to dig for it, and all the supply chain that comes up front usually is not necessary anymore. Now, again, companies like Exxon, like Chevron, and so on, Shell, you name it, all the big oil majors, they can do something with this. But their technology is made for crude oil. And the more of the plastic oil, for instance, they implement into these processes, the more complex it is for them to treat this as a whole. And they need to also invest in R&D and in machinery to actually be able to take and apply sustainability into their own process as well. So from the beginning, right, where you produce plastic, how you label it, how you sort it, how you get rid of it, right, how you then process it. There are always issues that the industry can address. And the most important one of those kind of things is transparency at the end. Because if everybody in the supply chain knows what's actually happening, then everybody can do the best job to divert and reduce and remove plastic at the end of the day.
Very good. Many thanks, Christian. And Lipika, what positive outcome can we anticipate from a legally binding agreement or global treaty on plastic pollution? I'm sure that you've got several points, so please take your time, but not too much, because after that we want to engage everybody here. Thank you.
Sure. So, namaskar and good afternoon, everyone. Thanks, Dr. Ram, for having me for this, and many thanks to Benno for inviting me. A odd fit, but I can assure you the correct one, a good mix. Sitting amongst people from science background, I am a lawyer. And as a panel, I suppose we have a difficult task to do post-lunch session. I hope we'll be able to keep everyone awake. So what I'm going to talk, as Benno has already asked me, being a lawyer, what outcome we can expect from a treaty. Before that, I'll just give a bit of backgrounder. I am not specialized in plastic. I've not done much research in this. Thanks to Benno, I could read more about it. I am a sustainability person. I am a climate change lawyer. So what I understood, for me, plastic is not a waste management issue at all. That's how we look at it till date. It's a developmental issue. It's a health issue, not human health. It's health of every living being on planet Earth. Terrestrial and ocean as well. Then we should be kind enough as humans to understand nature cannot digest plastic. And our reliance on nature is heavy. And believe me, what my research, what I understood, plastics will outlive us 100 years. Eye-opener. How plastics are made? 99% of plastics are made of fossil fuels. So, more we use plastics, more we are pushing back ourselves from 1.5 Paris target. Right? And Benno has already touched upon MPs and NPs, how they are part of every living being system. Thanks to single-use plastics mostly, which capture 40% of the market. Correct? That's what the scenario is. So we are in deep trouble if we keep talking about sustainability, disaster, climate, secluding plastic aside. That's what I understood after reading all this. So how to deal with it? As I told you, I am not from a science background. For me, two things very crucial. Even the science cannot alone deal with it with innovative technologies and bringing up better eco-friendly products, replacing plastic. Ultimately, everything will have to boil down to policy, strategy, and laws. So I'll pinpoint two things, how to deal with plastic going forward. My understanding is two things. We are talking about sustainability education. Education is the core of all issues we are dealing today. COP28 in Dubai, last year only, in December, brought greening education to core of deliberations. Benno was there, I was there, we have heard it, right? And why we need to talk about education? When we say education, it's not about school or college education. It's educating the whole society. Even if you have PhD, you don't understand what you are doing with nature and with yourself and with your coming generations. So it's about skill development, hands-on learning, behavioral change, which Indian Prime Minister has repeatedly talked about. The climate change has to be dealt with behavioral change. We need to understand it, adapt it, make it. Someone in the morning session talked about it. We need to adapt it. It should come naturally to us instead of pointing fingers at each other and having laws. So as Benno introduced me, I am Chief Legal Officer for a German-based NGO, which mostly extensively at present working in East Africa and Ethiopia focused. And thanks to UNESCO, we could collaborate with UNESCO. Benno, sitting here, he started Green Academies in way back 2009 when people were not talking about it. And and he was kind enough, and we collaborated with him, and 2015 we adopted the green academies in Ethiopian region and in South Africa, East Africa, few places, and by now we are running 5 academies successfully. Though we are struggling with funding, we just have 40%. The good news is we could collaborate in Ethiopia in sustainable education with the technological ministry. Now it's part of their concept, so every innovation comes has to be sustainable. So my company is with Green Academies as a flag bearer, are working for the sustainability in that area, and we plan to go forward in more regions. And what are the pillars we work on when I talk about sustainable education, greening education, what exactly Green Academy of UNESCO, which is taken over by us now, is doing is we basically work in the area of sustainability. We talk about recycling, waste management, biomass, and energy, and most important, youth clubs, bringing these young minds to understand sustainability. And we work in according to jurisdiction. We don't impose things the way whatever is available. If it is a local area, we'll work out accordingly. If it is in urban areas, we work accordingly. So this is what educational aspect is. So what I'm trying to say, we need to imbibe that behavioral change. It has to be all inclusive, not curriculum only. And it's not about just students, it's about more about grown-ups, I'll say. Another thing which Bano asked me, what we see about from a legal aspect, treaty. Till now, surprisingly, there are many treaties dealing with environment, but not even a single focus dealing with plastic. Right? We have Basel Convention, London Convention, conventions dealing with ship waste and whatnot, but law of sea, many. But good thing is, 2022, 175 countries came to the agreement to have a legally binding treaty. When I say legally binding for common man, it's when you sign it, you are going to implement it in your home legislation and ensure it is implemented in every jurisdiction who signs it. So the treaty, which Beno's question was, what we can expect, so that what treaty is trying to do, it's likely to be concluded end of 24 or beginning of 25. 4 or 5 main points, which is very crucial. First, it talks about EPR, Extended Polluters Responsibility. Oops, I said polluters, it's producers, but polluters is right, because producers are polluters. They have the know-how, how not to do it, right? So that can be a game changer when we talk about treaty. When you have extended producers' responsibility, that means the entire life cycle, till the time it is recycled or disposed of, whatever way it has to be. It costs heavy on producers' pocket, and they are going to look for ways to deal with it. Another thing is circular economy. We must hamper circular economy, which is very crucial. And most important, I'll just conclude by saying, just transition. It cannot be a blanket change for a developing nations, because there are industries, there are people who are working in this industry of plastic. You just cannot simply one fine day ban it. There has to be a just transition, and for that, the time, technology transfer money has to come from developing countries. With this, I'll conclude, and over to Beno. Thanks.
Thank you so much. Yes. Round of applause for all 3 of you. So, yes, I think we have... Again, come on. I learned that from her, okay? No, yeah, you deserved it. I think it's very interesting to have 3 panelists of 3 different nationalities, but representing 2 countries, basically, and with 3 different, completely different messages to you. Before I open the floor for you, I just want to highlight, I talked about the plastic paradox earlier. The problem is immense. It's huge. It's an integral part of the triple planetary crisis. The 3rd part of the triple planetary crisis is pollution. It's not just air pollution, oil pollution, it's all kinds of pollution, but plastic pollution is perhaps the biggest. We have whale and dolphin strandings on beaches all around the globe, and People who find them, then they alarm the environment agencies, and normally what they do is they make a little autopsy. They cut them open, and then they find calcified plastic, large amounts of plastic in whale and dolphin and dugong stomachs. So these animals are basically dying of hunger because they stop eating. They don't have a hunger feeling anymore. But also many of marine turtles and dolphins and dugongs, they get entangled in so-called ghost nets, nylon strings which are being discarded by fisher folks into the oceans, and then marine creatures get entangled and they can't surface to breathe anymore, so they drown and have a horrible death. So I think it's very clear to all of us that plastic pollution is not a joke. We have been ignoring it for too long. The Republic of India actually called in 2018 on the United Nations General Assembly to celebrate World Environment Day 2018, that's 6 years ago, with the theme, Beat the Plastic Pollution. But plastic pollution is increasing, reasons for that, consumer behavior, producer behavior, but also population dynamics. So you had a chance to listen to the three panelists. I said a few words to you as well, and to us, and to everybody. Now it's time for you to express your concerns and ask questions or give us some suggestions, some ideas, recommendations, suggestions. So floor is open. In the first row here, the gentleman, please. Can we have a microphone?
Well, my name is Mohan Saxena. I have been working for sustainability for the last 40 years. Well, we talk of plastic, and I always say that if we are talking about fossil fuel replacement, then we should also be talking about the polyethylene or the so-called polymers of ethylene or phthalate or PVC vinyl chloride, and the research which has already been done on the biodegradable plastic. Thailand is one where the cassava is extruded into the film and treated to reduce the footprint of this fossil fuel plastic. When we use the general term plastic, I often get the impression that we are throwing the baby with the bath water. And that is where, if we are allocating a global alliance for solar, for biomass energy, for other source of energy to replace fossil fuel, same way we must ask the government to allocate the funds for the replacement of the conventional plastic by biodegradable plastic. And the research funding is needed. Knowledge is there, technology is there. It's the cost that polyethylene is cheap and biodegradable will come at a cost. But when the consumption starts, then you can very well visualize that it will be possible to replace the plastic pollution caused by this fossil fuel origin plastic. That's my submission is.
Thank you much for that very useful intervention. Gentleman to the left. We can perhaps also share one additional microphone, then you don't need to. How many? No, you have 2 microphones.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you so much for the enlightening session. My question is to Lipika ji. You just mentioned that we need to hamper circular economy. So can you just throw some light on that? What is the meaning of what intervention you're talking about? Yeah, my name is Saurabh and I'm from Noble Citizen Foundation. Yeah.
Right, I know that. I didn't know your name. So Saurabh, can you tell me your understanding of circular economy, basic, so I understand from where you are talking?
So from where my understanding is, everything is interrelated, and we go to the indigenous culture and we adopt the principles of how we can use the natural resources in our daily life and reduce the manufactured elements which contains plastic or plastic related elements. So this is what my understanding is. Now you said.
So when I talk about circular economy, we need to keep two things in mind. Circular economy, all of us understand from a business perspective, what does it mean?
Right.
Till the last whole cycle.
Yeah.
So first and most important thing we need to delve into is the life cycle analysis of plastic.
Okay.
Right? That is the most crucial thing which we avoid. Sir intervened just now. What he stated that plastics are cheap. Yes, that's what our understanding is. But the cost is really, believe me, if we go in life cycle analysis, is really heavy. It's costing us our lives.
Right.
Not only humans, aquatic beings, everyone on this planet Earth. So on face of it, that is what I'm talking about circular economy. Before going there, we need to have a life cycle analysis of whatever plastic we are creating. And single-use plastic, as I said, I am repeating again, is a 40% of it, and the treaty is going to deal with it with regard to a product design. Because the research says, UNEP research says, 40% of plastic, 40 to 50% is used in packaging, and that is one-time use.
Right.
Only two recent, you can please take your seats, Saurabh. Two recent cases came to my knowledge which were interesting, though they are just from a US jurisdiction. There are many, I'm just pointing out. New York State filed a suit against PepsiCo for polluting environment with plastics for creating packaging one-time use. And secondly, California State is assessing the petrochemicals, which is the main industry behind creating plastics, role in plastic pollution, and accordingly deal with it. Thank you.
All right. We will give you another chance, not now, because I was just told that we have to cut the whole session from 60 minutes to 40 minutes. So, but we have a second round of a panel, and so I thank you very, very much. Please, another round of applause for our panelists. You will have another chance to ask them questions after 20 minutes from now. So I thank you very much, and then I would like, are you inviting them?
I request the dignitaries to please be on the stage because we would like to felicitate you for being here with us. So maybe please have a photo up first, a group photograph of the panelist. And I would like to request Dr. Ram Bhuj to please come on the stage for the felicitation part. Let's have this group photograph, yeah. Let's have a round of applause for them, please. I request Dr. Ram Bhuj to please felicitate Dr. Benu Boer. Thank you, sir, for being with us. I request sir to please felicitate Professor Kotate. Here's a felicitation from Mr. Christian Walter. And yes, as we have Dr. Lipika Sharma with us, so we would like to felicitate you as well, ma'am. Thank you so much for being here with us. It was lovely to have you. Thank you so much. Thanks a ton. And with this now, we have to do the next roundup, and that is about the solutions that we were talking about. So please allow me to invite our eminent panelist over here on the stage. Dr. Boyer will be here with us because he's the chair. And let me please invite the moderator of this session on the stage, Ms. Neha Midha, National Program Officer, Natural Sciences, UNESCO, New Delhi. Please put your hands together for her. I request Professor Vimal Kataria, Dean Research and Development, Indian Institute of Technology, Guwahati, India, to please come on the stage. Please welcome him with your round of claps. Also, I request Professor Genevieve Wanaspera, Sunera University of Technology, Nakhon, Thailand. Please put your hands together for him. We welcome you, sir. Also, I would like to invite on the stage Dr. Arvind Sahu, Executive Director, UNESCO Regional Center for Biotechnology, Faridabad. Please put your hands together for him. So we have the panelists over here, and as we all know that Dr. Boyd is the chair, but this session is going to be moderated by Ms. Neha. So let me please share something about her. So her role typically involves implementing UNESCO's programs in natural sciences, which may include promoting research, advancing science education, and supporting policies that foster sustainable development. So now I have to hand over this mic to Ms. Neha, and I hope you all are going to do like extreme justice to this session. So let's have a round of applause, my dear friends.
So thank you very much. Before I give the mic to Neha to moderate the session, I would just like to reflect very briefly on the previous session, because this is a session that's basically one session in two parts. So there is one convention on plastic pollution, which is the Basel Convention, that has been organized by UNEP, United Nations Environment Programme, and it has added plastic, or at least certain types of plastic, on the Basel Convention. That means it's not allowed to transport that across borders because it's considered a hazardous material. What I also want to mention is with the Regional Center of Biotechnology, with the Indian Institute of Technology, and with the Asian Institute of Technology, and with the Suranari University, we really want you to be in the lead from now on, because UNESCO can only be a catalyst, and we are utterly aware of the fact that without mobilizing science and education, we will not be able to solve the plastic pollution. So Neha, over to you.
Thank you, Dr. Bor. Good afternoon to everyone. So in the first part of the panel, we heard about issues from the business perspective, from legal perspective. So this second part of this panel discussion is about solution from academic perspective. What are the real barriers when we talk about solution from the academics? How can we bridge the gap? Is there a possibility? What are the challenges and what are the opportunities? And all the three panelists are from a reputed institute. So on my left is Dr. Arvind Sahu. He's the Executive Director of Regional Center of Biotechnology, Faridabad in India, which is also a UNESCO Category 2 institute. He is trained in microbiology and immunobiology, and his research interest involve understanding between viruses and immune defense mechanism. On his left is Professor Vimal Kataria. He is Dean, Research and Development, Indian Institute of Technology, Guwahati. His main area of research includes sustainable polymer development, its processing, and their structural property and related technology. On his left is Professor Genevieve Wanaspera. He's researcher with Suranari University of Technology in Thailand. His research focuses on innovative technology for managing community waste. So I'll start my first question with Dr. Arvind Sahu. Dr. Arvind, RCB, Regional Center for Biotechnology, is a state-of-art institute. We have seen that, and it has a focus to provide education, training, and to conduct innovative research in the field of biotechnology. So my first question to you is, in what way innovation in green chemistry can help reduce plastic waste in products used by consumer every day?
Thank you so much, Neha. Namaskar to everyone, and good afternoon. I come from research background, and anybody who's in research always believes in data. Unless we see data, we don't believe in any of these. So we don't believe in simply talk. We need to see the data. So what the data really says, if we look at it, and I just pulled out the data from the Central Pollution Control Board for the 5 years data, 2017-18 to 2020 and 2021, regarding the plastic waste. And if you look at that data, what it says that in 17-18, it was around 6.6 lakh tons. And that has increased to almost 41 lakh tons. So there's a significant increase in the plastic waste in India every single year. And if you look at this 5 years, the data says that there is 6-fold increase, and this is data only available till 2021 I couldn't find after that. So obviously there is this, much more data. And if you look at where this plastic is really going, right? What are we doing with the waste? And if you see the numbers, you will see that out of the total waste, only 9% of the plastic we are actually recycling. Around 19% is something we actually incinerate. Half of it, almost close to 50%, is going in the landfill. We are just filling, right? And around 22% is mismanaged. Now, I looked at the data and the predictions made by the scientists is what is going to happen in next 40 years, that is this situation going to change in terms of plastic? What are we going to do with the plastic which we are using? And I was, and you would be surprised to see that nothing much is going to change. Yes, recycling is going to probably increase from 9% to 17%, but the rest of the number, including the one which is going to landfill, will pretty much remain same unless we do any drastic changes, intervention in this, right? So then the question is, what is the solution? And this is something which was, Sir just talked about it, is the bioplastic. So what the bioplastic really is that, certain bacteria, for example, Ralstonia or the Pseudomonas, these kind of species, what they do is under certain conditions when there is a stress, they make biopolyesters. This is just the energy storage in the bacteria, and they make this, and we know this for many, many years. So these one can use to make the bioplastic. Where is the catch then? Why we are not making and why we are not using, like Service, was pointing it out. As of now, it's very expensive to make this if you compare to the plastic which we are using. Why it is expensive? Because we haven't spent much into research. So what do we really need to do this? If you look at the bacteria, there are different kind of pathways. So if there is, students who are there, they would understand, or if you go back to your primary, biochemistry, you would understand that in each organism, there are multiple pathways, biosynthetic pathways, these are there. One needs to understand how the synthesis of these, biopolyesters is happening, which pathways are involved, right? So for example, there are, glycerol can be used, or, organic waste can be used, and these are used and they go through pathway. What one needs to do is cut down on the other pathways and get the entire thing goes towards one so that the yield becomes more. We need to genetically engineer the bacteria so that it becomes much more efficient in making this, right? And these can be done. It's not difficult, and we are doing it. But we are not doing it at a scale to really, take it so that we can actually use it for biomanufacturing. The other thing is that when we do any biomanufacturing, fermentation is involved, which is again increases the cost. So we need to work on to cutting down the fermentation and also the extraction. So another bottleneck which we have is the extraction of these to make it, right? But is this going to be really enough? And the answer is this is not going to be enough if we are thinking in terms of circular economy as we were discussing, right? We need to close the loop. So in science, we always say that one should close the loop. What does it really mean? It means that the production is there. So even if we make bioplastic, then that's not going to really solve the problem unless we figure it out how to reuse it. Number one, recycle it. Number two, and biodegrade it. Biodegrade it so it can go to the field, or biodegrade it with the help of the enzymes to convert into the products which can be reused to make the bioplastic again. And enzyme again we'll have to make, which is expensive, and the technology has to be worked on. So unless we work in this area, it would be very, very difficult. But if we plan and we spend enough money in this particular part of the research, I'm sure we'll come up with the better solutions and cheaper solutions. I'll stop there. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Sahu. I mean, you have set the tone right, starting with data and then talking about this contentious or debatable topic of biodegradable, and you ended and said, is it enough? So I will take this conversation ahead with Professor Katiyar, whose research focus has been on developing various cost-effective, bio-based and biodegradable plastic products. So my question to you, Professor Katiyar, is, like right now we are discussing about biodegradable plastic, and some of them are actually right now in the market, but still we have not been able to replace it. What are the limitations and how to address it?
Yeah, first of all, thank you very much, UNESCO team, for inviting me here, and thanks to Dr. Ramboj for his invitation. It's quite an interesting discussion going on bioplastics. And first of all, if you are really going to see what is my take on this, plastic, wonderful material. As long as we manufacture, as long as we use it for our purposes, it's wonderful material. Where is the problem? Problems comes from a beginning of life option and end of the life option. When we talk about the beginning of life option, that the feedstock. We talk about the fossil fuel, it adds on to the carbon footprint. I mean to say the larger carbon footprint. If we are going with a bio-base, it's going to have a shorter footprint. When we are going to the end of life options, if we are going again, taking it out the carbon from environmental compartment, if it is a biodegradable, it's going to be a very easy compared to the fossil base. Now we are in between, within it. We are live with this conventional plastic, and as we understood that there are many products, and we cannot say one plastic will serve the purpose of all the product. Many plastics has been generated in the last century, and now it has reached to this particular level. It has been discussed as per the title, if you can see, that green chemistry can play an important role. So chemical recycling can be one option that we can able to recycle it back with a virgin plastic, but it cannot be possible with all class of plastics. Now, so there are an issue, and as well as when we talk about the recycling of plastics, certainly, blessing in disguise for the country like us, we recycle the most plastic compared to the other part of the world, the India. So that way we serve the purpose, we are working on it. But more importantly, now as a green chemistry, we have to come up with a new class of plastics. We talk about, as sir has already mentioned, there is a class of plastic which come from the biofood feedstock, from the microorganism and all. There are synthetic ways to make these plastics. How we can utilize instead of fossil base, how we can utilize the renewable feedstock to make the plastic, reduce the carbon footprint. After a service life of the plastic, if it is go back to the nature, it's really great. In that way, we could able to remove the carbon from environmental compartment. It's very nice. But only thing is that, what is the status right now? That is the question. The status is that the chemicals, such plastics are available with us. If you talk about, he talk about the PHA, one class of plastic, polylactic acid, you might be aware, there are many. If you go to Starbucks, you will find the lid, you will find the straw. The materials are available. But what happened, the limited productions are there. We have to encourage the policymakers that such kind of the industry has to come forward to make these resins so that it can come to the market. Right now, it is at the demonstration level. So that is the bottleneck. And the same time, not a one plastic is going to serve the purpose. It means the class of a plastic, with the help of R&D interventions, the class of the plastic for targeting a product has to be set up and identified. That's also very important. And more importantly, awareness to the society and the stakeholders are very important. So we have to educate to the young generation that how to take up this class of a plastic and how it is better than the conventional one. And Madam has suggested the transition is there, because we will not have a kind of a gate to close or open. There is a transition. Diffusion has to be done. We really need time. Here I would like to tell you, we have done so many interventions. Interventions to establish a state-of-the-art R&D center, because we know that the R&D is required for establishing this biodegradable, compostable plastic. Then the ecosystem has to be established as far as the industries are concerned, because industry knows the buzzword. But the fact, what is the chemistry, what is the research, and how to take it to the translation level, that is again one issue. Another thing is that can we bring these kind of practices to the education as part of. So I would like to tell you, we are sensitizing around more than 100 women to giving 3D printers, to making biodegradable toys. Okay, so that is the way we are trying that, to sensitizing, to giving a more empowerment, taking this particular initiative, empowerment to the rural people. Same time, when these kind of intervention goes to the end user, they will also know that how these plastics are different than the conventional plastic. We cannot replace all the plastic at once, but we can take it in a phase-wise manner. We can figure it out what are the commodity product which can be taken into the first. As Madam has suggested, 40% plastic goes for a packaging application. Out of it, 50% goes for a food packaging application. We need to make the package which can help for a 6 months time, but service life of the package is only 1 year. One day, 2 days, 5 days. Why we need to make the package for a 5 day? Why not? Why we made a package for 6 months? We have to make it 5 days. That way we have to prioritize. We have to cut down the conventional plastic, bring this class of plastic, which we call it a biodegradable or compostable plastic. When I talk about the compostable plastic, it means the 90% of the carbon has to go into the carbon dioxide in 180 days time, conventionally to 100 to 200, 300 years. That is the major concern, and that we have to address, and we have to educate to all the stakeholders on this. Still, commodity-based solutions will be adoptable, because when you are going for the bio-based utilization of such plastic, we have to have a smaller unit rather going to be a bigger unit. I'm going to stop it here. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Just a word to the participants on the balcony up there. We can hear you very well, and we would like you to participate as well. If you would like to have private discussions, please go outside. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor Katiyar, for the intervention. I mean, you said it correctly that it has taken years to make different classes of plastic, and it will take few more years of research to make, again, different classes of plastic to deal with it. And we need an ecosystem, a correct policy intervention, and business. How can we take it actually forward? So my next question is to Dr. Genevieve Vanepara. He has worked to develop a technology for managing a community waste, and which has been implemented over 20 locations in Thailand. So this positive case study, if you can share with all of us.
Thank you very much. My name is Genevieve Vanepara from Surabaya University. Actually, our center is responsible for producing energy from the waste, including biomass and also the plastic waste. So we're starting from 20 years ago, we're starting from biomass to producing fuels, solid fuels, something. But around 10 years ago, we're starting to consider the potential of the waste, that is the plastic on the waste. Yes, that is around 20% in Thailand waste. Plastic share around 20%, 50% is around vegetable, something like this. So we're looking at this 20%, how to make it values. So from our area, so we try to bring this plastic into the oil, which is the cause or the source of the chemical something. So the problem comes with how to get this plastic clear from other organic materials. So that's the main problem of the communities waste. So it's become of the main topic of us. So we developed the process that sorting this waste that we use called, maybe you're familiar with, is MBT system. MBT stands for mechanical and biological treatment system. We combine the mechanical process, separating like this, screening like this, and with this biological treatment process. From this, the heart of biological treatment, we develop our system by using the aggregator, and we can decompose the organic waste. Yes, this is mixed in the plastic. This takes around maybe 3 weeks compared to the conventional one, which takes around 4 or 3 months. So after 3 weeks, so we can produce the clean plastic, or we can separate this plastic from the community waste. But from and for the organic waste, we can produce as the fertilizer. But for then we get the plastic waste, then we go to the mechanical to cleaning again, and then separate it. So we produce it as the RDF. If you're familiar with this word, RDF means the diffuse derived fuels. So we can produce RDF with our technology. So this RDF was tested in the practical plant that we have the cooperation with the tar company, and we can produce the oil, which is quite good quality. So this technology, we call SUDMBT, has implementation around the country, around 20 places across the country. So the waste that we take care of is around 200 tons. So if we multiply with 0.2, which is a percentage of the plastic in the waste, is we take care of around 14,000 tons per day. So this compared to the waste across Thailand, which is we have the waste around 20 tons per day. We make the waste 20 tons per day. So our technology can help around 0.5%, yes, to take care of this plastic waste from the municipal solid waste. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Janewat, for sharing a great case study from Thailand. And now we have heard about a good case study about innovation, different technology option present. Now I would like to open the floor if there are any questions. Is there a mic here? Please share your name.
Thank you.
Name, your an organization name.
Namaskar. Myself, Dr. Panna Chandranath. I'm from Mobius Foundation. So I was raising a concern in the previous session, but I think now it is more concerned with this session, because it is mainly based on solution orientation. So already Shahu sir have raised the data, how much plastic we are generating and how much is going to waste and how much we are recycling. So whatever we do not recycle, they ultimately go to rivers, to oceans, or in the landfills, or remain in the soil. From there, they generate another issue, which we call as microplastic. And recent studies model that in the ocean surface, we have distribution of around 24.4 trillion of microplastic pieces. And if necessary steps are not taken, by 2030, this number will be go to around 50 trillion. Now, there are several research and developments and different startups from different organizations where they have given different kinds of solutions. Some have prepared bricks from the plastic waste. There are interlocking bricks also, thereby minimizing the use of cements in construction. Also, they are used in manufacturing of roads, which is said to be having the longer lifespan than the traditional use. Now, like climate change and like convention in biological diversity, we have different kinds of signatory countries where we have shared our technologies as well as ideas through grants and different sources with the signatory countries to minimize the impact or minimize the cause. Likewise, why not different internationally recognized organizations interrupt in such kind of things through different conventions, different guidelines to go to a zero waste policy for every signatory countries, because there are different case studies are coming recently from Singapore. I think they've gone to zero waste policy. Their entire waste is being recycled, where biodegradable waste are given to different landfill for degradation, generation of methane, and where non-biodegradable products like plastics are incinerated to produce energy, which are even used for electricity purposes, and the fumes that comes out, that is even filtered before releasing into the atmosphere. So I am concerned about the role of international organizations in technology sharing, idea sharing, and grant sharing to go to zero waste policy.
Anyone would like to make an intervention?
Yeah, I can. The point is quite valid, that there is a microplastics and different segment we have find microplastics, and it is there. The way we are practicing, the way we are using, and we have a waste management practices, we are going to find these microplastics. What to do with it? It's a bigger problem, much challenging problem compared to the problem with the plastic, which is a structural material. Certainly, we have to look into the technological perspective. We have to come up with the alternate solution, where the plastic after disintegration has not have the effect what is the current is going on. So that is what we have to take a mandate to those class where we have a lot of surface to volume ratio, the films mostly going into the packaging, that has to be taken care so that the littering may be stopped, or if it goes, then it should not have the adverse effect to the environment. So that has to be taken care of based on the technology. And the problem is not signing a TT. The problem is that the mindset and the habits, that has to be changed. Thank you.
Yeah, I would just like to add, the solutions are there and they will be developed, right? But always one should ask what I am doing. So I would like to ask, you should also ask what you are doing as a society, right? And therefore, am I going towards the zero waste? I'll tell you, for example, our research institute is funded by Department of Biotechnology, and we have decided that all the campuses will be zero waste, right? That's a start. So always ask, like, are you promoting, are you educating people around you that go for biodegradable solutions even if they are a little bit more expensive, right? Are you ready to run a campaign with the help of certain people to aware more, right? So I think it should start from oneself, and if each one of us who are here do this, it will be much faster. I think that's the way to go. Thank you.
Thank you. Can you please hand over the mic to her? Yeah, thank you. I would request to keep the question really crisp and straightforward.
Yeah. Good afternoon. So I'm a dentist by profession, and we were discussing about the presence of microplastics in the body. And one research that led me to start an NGO in my city, Kanpur, for beach cleanups, Ganga Ghat cleanups basically, was that microplastic has been detected in the fetus as well as in the human breast milk. So we have been working on ground since last 3 years, organizing weekly campaigns, and when it comes to, we were discussing about individual action, what actions we are taking. I also create content on sustainability to create awareness through social media. I think it is a very, very powerful tool for education these days because children understand this language. But my question here is that we even organize market campaigns where we ask people to, exchange their plastic bags with our reusable fabric bags, which we make from, old fabric waste. But it all boils down to policy implementation and legislation, because how long can we do it? Like, we spend 8 hours in the market asking people not to use plastic, and the next day it's the same situation. So we as citizens can only do this much. I have quite a lot of following on my Instagram account as well as on ground in Kanpur, but I can only do this much. and there's a limitation to which it is there. Even though the laws are in place, they are not being implemented properly. So I would like to, actually my question was meant for Lipika ji, but if anyone of you can throw some light on it, because you know, our hands are tied when it comes to the implementation of the policies of single-use plastic in India. That's my question.
So Lipika ji is here, so she's going to answer your question, ma'am. May we please have the mic?
Can I have a question in 1-2 sentence? Finally, what you want to say, are policies crucial or not? What's your question exactly?
In I think 2021 and even before that, single-use plastic bags. But why is the implementation not there? Why is the legislation not that strong? Why still here for traffic implementation, if you're not wearing a helmet, you're
Got
fined?
your question.
But yeah.
Thank you. That's a wonderful question. So when you talk something with in the context of country like India, which is diverse, in every way, we have income, we don't have income parity, where there are gaps, we are in small towns and places. So in a country like India, we cannot say the implementation will, and going forward very soon about anything we talk about, plastic or anything else, can be 100%. The way you are saying, all of us can do our bit at small places, local places, we can make people more aware. So I'll not say, when you talk about ban in India, yes, 221, there was a ban of just 19 goods, not beyond. Government of India went beyond, and there was a lot of hue and cry from the industry, and there are reasons which I cannot delve into right now. So it's a difficult scenario when you talk about, in the Indian context, you have to take so many things in place, keeping the population, the MSMEs, the people who are below poverty line, who are rag people. Someone talk about the people who pick up plastics and the danger to their lives. So there are so many things. So it's very easy to say there is a lack of implementation. There are reasons for lacks, and all of us, someone sitting on the panel, maybe Dr. Katiyar said, we have to do our bit. So after this session, I am aware enough, being a SDG chair India, was aware about certain things, but now I am conscious, I'll reduce, I'll not stop, that will be too much to say, I'll stop. That doesn't happen. So I take a pledge that I'll reduce, I'll ensure my family reduces, and all of us can do that and ensure our extended family make them aware. So don't leave everything on the government. That's what my take as a lawyer, and from a policy and perspective, I work a lot on ground as well, and represent government bodies and other sides as well before the court, so I understand both sides. Thank you.
Thank you.
I hope that
Lipika.
satisfies.
Very short, please. Very short response,
Yeah,
please.
just I wanted to add, when you talk about the policies, let's see that like government have imposed the EPR policies, and by 2025, the 100% polymer plastic has to be recycled. And it has to be so a fast implementations for last 3 years. You can see that it is, now we are practicing it, and all policies. So it's saying that the policy is not implementing. No, it's not in a paper, madam. We are practicing, and we have witnessed the practicing these policies. And as far as when you talk about these single-use plastics, also as we talk about, there is a no gate open and close. There is no binary situation 0 to 1. There has to be diffusion. There should be a transition that we are into the transition phase, and certainly your aspirations will be fulfilled soon by the government. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, everybody, for. No further questions. Thank you very much. We cannot. We cannot. You can, Srita, thank you much.
Yeah.
You know how much I like you? No. You can have discussions with every one of them today and tomorrow. We will also have tomorrow afternoon a discussion between us how we want to take that further in 2025 and beyond. Because, and this is my wrap-up message to you, there is no easy fix to plastic pollution. Some people think, just make a beach cleanup campaign, just recycle. Believe me, there is no easy fix. Plastic pollution will grow, and we need the young people to get engaged on the educational level, and then later when they get a little bit older, on an academic level to find more recyclable plastics, more degradable plastics, better plastic types. So I just want to share this information with you. Does anybody know which country in the world was the first single-use plastic-free country? No, it was least developed landlocked country, Rwanda in Africa. Bhutan is perhaps one of the cleanest, maybe the cleanest country in the world, and also carbon neutral or even carbon positive, but it was Rwanda and Vanuatu. There are countries in the world that have a plastic action plan. I think the first ones in Asia was Vietnam and Indonesia to develop national plastic action plans. I don't know about India, I don't know about Thailand, I don't know about other countries. But if you are interested in that, maybe you can find out and inspire your country in case they don't have national plastic action plans to develop them, because that can be very nice guidelines. So a round of applause to our moderator and to the panel.
Thank you so much, sir. It was really lovely. You did half my task, so thanks a lot for that. So as we have the dignitaries over here, maybe please have a group photograph. If you can please take a step forward on the stage. The group photograph of the galaxy. Thank you so much. And with this, we would like to felicitate the eminent panelists over here. And to do the honors, I would like to invite Dr. Aditya Joshi, advisor think tank Mobius Foundation, to please come on the stage. Dr. Aditya Joshi, I request you, sir. And we'll start with the felicitation of the lady who has been the wonderful moderator, Ms. Neha Midha. So I'll request Dr. Aditya to please felicitate Ms. Neha. Thank you so much, ma'am, for being with us. Next felicitation for Professor Vimal Katiyar. You all have become an integral part of this conference now. I request Dr. Aditya to please felicitate Professor Genevieve with this memento as a mark of remembrance of the 6th International Conference on Sustainability Education. I request Dr. Aditya to please felicitate Dr. Arvind Sahu as well. Thank you so much, sir, for being our part. It was lovely to have all you eminent panelists in this session and enlightening all of us. Thank you so much, sir. Let's hear it once again for all the dignitaries, please. Thank you. Thank you, sir. I wasn't ready anyway. Thank you so much, sir. And